The giant meeting hall of the Galactic Council was completely silent. Ambassador Velthar stood at the center of the room, his hands shaking slightly as he presented his report. Above him, floating screens showed pictures of Earth. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and normal, but something was terribly wrong. Every human being was gone. Council Prime Zarthok leaned forward in his chair. His hard shell clicked nervously as he spoke. "This cannot be right. You are telling us that 17 billion people just disappeared? That makes no sense." Velthar nodded slowly. "We have checked everything 3 times, Council Prime. We sent 43 different ships to look. They all found the same thing. The cities are still there. The buildings are standing. The machines are still running. But there are no humans anywhere." The room exploded with noise. Representatives from 12 different alien species started shouting at once. Some were angry. Some were scared. All of them were confused. Only one person had warned them this might happen. Her name was Commander Helen Brooks, and she was human. She had told them to prepare. She had told them humans had a plan. The council had laughed at her. 6 months ago, something terrible had appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Ancient monsters called the Devourers had woken up after sleeping for 1,000,000 years. These creatures ate entire worlds. They consumed everything living on a planet, and then moved to the next one. They were slow but unstoppable. The council had talked and talked. They made committees. They wrote long papers about what to do, but they never actually did anything. Commander Brooks had stopped coming to the meetings 3 months ago. Nobody had seen her since. Ambassador Quinn stood up. Her body was made of crystal and it glowed with worry. "We need to send ships to Earth right now. If the humans have some new technology that lets them escape, we need to understand how it works. The Devourers are only 40 star systems away from us now." Velthar touched the controls and the floating screens changed. Now they showed close-up views of human cities. New York looked perfect but empty. Beijing was the same. So were São Paulo and Lagos. The traffic lights still blinked on and off. Trains sat waiting in stations with no passengers. Even the dogs and cats were gone. "There is something else we found," Velthar said quietly. "The humans left messages. Thousands of them. They put them in every computer, every data system, every radio frequency they had." "Show us," commanded Zarthok. The screens changed again. This time they showed simple text. The message was short and had been translated into 400 different languages so everyone could read it. "To anyone who finds this, thank you for your debates and your concerns. Humanity has decided to handle the Devourer problem ourselves. Do not look for us. We will return when it is safe." Signed, Director Kate Morrison, Human Exodus Initiative. The council chamber became noisy again. Everyone was shouting. Some aliens were angry that humans had left without permission. Others were scared because humans had technology they did not understand. A few were relieved that maybe the humans would fix the Devourer problem. In all the chaos, only Velthar was looking at another screen in the corner. This one showed the stars at the edge of explored space. He watched as something strange happened. The stars were disappearing. One by one, they were going dark. Velthar felt his blood turn cold. He suddenly understood what had happened. The humans had not run away. They had not hidden somewhere safe. They had gone hunting. For weeks, the council had known the Devourers were coming. The monsters moved slowly through space, but nothing could stop them. Every civilization that had ever fought them had lost. The best strategy was supposed to be running away and hoping the Devourers would eat something else first. But humans did not run away from problems. They ran toward them. Velthar thought back to the last meeting where Commander Brooks had attended. She had stood right where he was standing now. She had warned them that time was running out. She had begged them to start evacuating planets. She had offered to share human technology and research. The council had told her to be patient. They said they needed more time to study the problem. They said humans were too aggressive and did not understand how to handle ancient threats like the Devourers. Commander Brooks had looked at them all with sad eyes. Then she had said something Velthar would never forget. "When you finally decide to act, it will be too late. Humanity cannot wait for you to save us. We will save ourselves." The next day, every human on Earth had vanished. Now Velthar understood what that meant. The humans had not vanished out of fear. They had vanished because they were preparing for war. Somewhere out in the darkness of space, 17 billion humans were doing something, And whatever it was big enough to make stars disappear. Zarthok finally managed to quiet the council chamber. "We need to make a decision," he said. "Do we send our military to find the humans? Do we try to stop whatever they are doing?" "Stop them from doing what?" asked Ambassador Quinn. "We do not even know where they went." "That is what worries me," said another ambassador. "This one was from a very old race called the Scattered Worlds. The humans have been part of the galactic community for only 200 years. They are young and aggressive. What if they are building weapons? What if they are planning to use the Devourer crisis as an excuse to gain power?" Velthar wanted to argue, but he stayed quiet. He did not think humans wanted power. He thought they wanted to survive, but he had no proof. The council argued for 3 more hours. Finally, they agreed to send a science ship to investigate. They chose Captain Rincor to lead the mission. He was experienced and careful. If anyone could find the humans and figure out what they were doing, it was him. As the meeting ended, Velthar walked to a window that looked out at the stars. He wondered where Commander Brooks was now. Was she on one of those human ships? Was she helping to evacuate people? Or was she doing something else entirely? He touched the window glass gently. Somewhere out there, 17 billion humans had disappeared. They had taken all their ships, all their technology, and all their knowledge. They had left behind only empty cities and a simple message. Velthar read the message again on his datapad. "We will return when it is safe." That one sentence scared him more than anything else, because it meant the humans did not think it was safe now. It meant they knew something the council did not. It meant they were preparing for something terrible, and the humans had never been wrong about danger before. The Devourers were 40 systems away. In 2 months, they would reach the first major population centers. Billions of people would die unless someone stopped the monsters. The council had wasted 6 months talking. They had wasted 3 months after Commander Brooks had stopped attending meetings. They had done nothing but debate while the threat grew closer. Now humanity had taken matters into their own hands. Velthar looked at the stars and wondered if the council's warning had come too late. He wondered if humanity had already vanished into whatever darkness they thought would save them. He wondered if they would actually come back. Most of all, he wondered what it meant that stars were going dark at the edge of space. Because whatever was causing that, it was big, it was powerful, and it was moving toward the Devourers. The council thought humanity had run away. Velthar knew better. Humanity had not vanished out of fear. They had vanished because they were done asking permission. They were done waiting for help that would never come. They were done being told to be patient while monsters approached. Humanity had vanished into action. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The Devourers arrived at the Helion system with complete confidence. They had been consuming civilizations for over 1 million years. Nothing had ever stopped them. Nothing had ever even slowed them down. The swarm was made up of 300 massive ships. Each ship was as big as a continent. They were alive in a way, all connected through strange quantum signals that let them think as one mind across huge distances. They were hungry. They were always hungry. The Helion colonies should have been an easy meal. 7 billion people living on 5 different planets. The Devourers had detected their fear from light years away. Fear made the meal taste better. But when they arrived, something was wrong. The planets were empty. The cities were intact and the power was on. But there were no people. No minds to consume, no fear to taste, no civilization to destroy. The Devourer swarm paused. Its collective consciousness was confused. This had never happened before. Then the stars went out. It happened instantly. The light from the Helion sun just stopped reaching the swarm. Total darkness covered all 300 ships. Something enormous had moved between them and their star. "Good evening," a calm voice said. It came through every frequency, every communication channel the Devourers had. "My name is Admiral Kyle Preston of the Human Defense Fleet. You have been eating civilizations for a very long time. Tonight, that ends." The Devourers attacked immediately. They did not waste time with questions or threats. They fired their bioplasma cannons. These weapons could melt entire planets. They activated gravity wells that could crush moons into dust. They released viral weapons that had ended empires. Everything they had, they threw at the voice in the darkness. Nothing happened. The darkness absorbed everything. We have been studying. You? Admiral Preston's voice continued, still perfectly calm. For 3 years we have analyzed everything about you. Your biology, your technology, your tactics. We studied every civilization you ever consumed. We learned from all their mistakes. Do you know what we discovered? The darkness began to move. The Devourers tried to scan it to understand what it was. Their sensors detected something, but their ancient minds could not process what they were seeing. We learned that you are not unbeatable, the Admiral said. You are not some unstoppable force of nature. You are just very good at fighting civilizations that value life. Civilizations that hesitate, that debate before they act, that care about being moral. The darkness took shape. A single human ship appeared in front of the swarm. It was bigger than anything the Devourers had ever encountered, but the size was not what terrified them. The hull of the ship was covered in glowing mathematical equations, physics formulas that should not work, calculations that seemed to break the rules of reality itself, theorems that made space scream. We value life too, Admiral Preston said. But we learned something your victims never understood. Sometimes to save everything you love, you have to become something terrible. The human ship activated. Reality broke. The Devourers felt it as a pulling sensation at first, then as pain, then as the complete unmaking of everything they were. The equations on the human ship were not normal weapons. They were changes to the basic rules of the universe, focused on a small area. They were mathematics turned into weapons. The space around the Devourer swarm became a place where their biology simply could not exist. 300 ships began to dissolve. They did not explode or burn. They just stopped being real. The equations denied their existence, and so they ceased to exist. The swarm consciousness screamed. It sent warnings across the quantum link to every other Devourer fleet in the galaxy. But the humans had planned for this too. 200 more human ships appeared instantly, each one positioned near a different Devourer fleet, each one ready to attack. In the galactic core, where the biggest nest of Devourers existed, a human ship appeared. This one was commanded by Director Kate Morrison herself. It did not send a spoken message. Instead, it wrote words directly into space and time itself, where the Devourers could not ignore them. You taught the galaxy to fear the darkness, the message said. Now we will teach you that something worse hunts in that darkness. Us. The core fleet attacked with everything they had. Weapons that had destroyed entire star systems fired all at once. Biological warfare that could kill planets was unleashed. Gravitational forces that could tear reality apart were activated. Kate Morrison's ship took all of it without moving. Its hull absorbed attacks that should have destroyed solar systems. Then it fired back. The weapon had no official name. The human scientists simply called it the theorem device. It did not destroy matter. It did not release energy. It changed the fundamental rules of physics in a specific area. It made the target mathematically impossible. The Devourer core fleet ceased to exist, not destroyed, not killed, just stopped being possible. The equation said they could not be, and so they were not. Across the entire galaxy, the ancient terror ended in a single night. Every Devourer swarm, from the outer rim to the ancient core, found human ships waiting for them, ships that should not exist, weapons that broke the laws of nature. By the time the Helian sun rose again, every Devourer was gone. Every ship, every spore, every trace of their existence had been erased from the galaxy with perfect mathematical precision. Admiral Preston's final transmission was simple and clear. We will be returning your people to their homes now. We will help you rebuild what was lost. But remember this night. Remember what happens when you force humanity to become monsters to save what they love. The transmission ended. The human fleet began moving again. They started carrying the 33 billion refugees back to their worlds, back to their homes, back to the lives the Devourers had tried to take from them. In the council chamber, Ambassador Velthar watched recordings of the battle. His hands shook as he replayed the footage again and again, the human ships, the impossible weapons, the complete and total erasure of a threat that had existed for 1,000,000 years. He finally understood what Commander Helen Brooks had been trying to tell them. She had warned them that humanity would not wait. She had tried to explain that humans saw things differently than other species. When other civilizations saw an impossible threat, they tried to negotiate or run away. When humans saw an impossible threat, they made it possible to win. They did not accept that some enemies were too strong. They just worked harder. But Velthar also understood something else now, something that terrified him more than the Devourers ever had. To create weapons that broke reality, humans had to break themselves. To wield mathematics that denied existence, they had to damage their own minds. The Admiral's voice had been calm during the battle, but Velthar could hear something underneath it. Something strained. Something wrong. What had humanity sacrificed to save everyone else? What had they given up to become powerful enough to end the Devourers? The recordings showed the human fleet moving through space with perfect efficiency, but Velthar wondered what price they had paid for that perfection. What cost came with wielding weapons that should not exist? The Devourers were gone. The galaxy was saved. But as Velthar watched the human ships disappearing into the darkness of space, he wondered if humanity had saved themselves too, or if they had lost something essential in the process of saving everyone else. Commander Brooks had tried to warn them. The Council's warning to humanity had come too late, and now humanity had vanished into something new, something powerful, something that scared Velthar almost as much as the Devourers had. The difference was that the Devourers had wanted to destroy civilization. Humanity had wanted to save it, but both had been willing to break the rules of reality to achieve their goals. Velthar just hoped that when the humans came back from their darkness, they would still be human in the ways that mattered. Because the galaxy needed heroes, not more monsters. Even monsters who fought for good reasons. Captain Rincor had spent his whole life exploring space. He had discovered new planets. He had found ancient ruins. He had tracked missing ships across the galaxy, but he had never seen anything like this. His science vessel, the Infinite Horizon, floated quietly at the edge of a solar system. This system had belonged to a species called the Yalan. They were peaceful people who loved art and music. 12 billion of them had lived on their beautiful green and blue planet. According to every report, the Devourers should have eaten them 3 days ago. "Captain, you need to look at this," said Pelton. He was young and nervous, but he was good at his job. "The sensors are showing the same strange readings we found when we searched Earth." Rincor walked over to look at the screen. His 4 eyes widened in shock. "Take us into the system, slowly, keep all weapons ready." The ship moved forward carefully. As they got closer, the crew became very quiet. Everyone was staring at the screens in disbelief. The Yalan planet looked perfect. The cities were intact. The lights were on. Ships floated peacefully in orbit around the world. Everything looked normal, except every single Yalan was gone. "This is impossible," whispered Pelton. "The Devourers entered this system 18 days ago. We detected them. Everyone saw them coming. The Yalan should have been consumed. Instead, they just disappeared." Rincor checked the computer records carefully. "The Yalan vanished 16 days ago. That was 2 days before the Devourers arrived." "Someone warned them. Someone evacuated them. But how? It takes months to evacuate a planet. Even with the best technology, you cannot move 12 billion people in just a few days." The captain did not answer. He was reading something on another screen. It was a message hidden deep in the Yalan computer systems. The message was identical to the one found on Earth. It was signed by Director Kate Morrison of the Human Exodus Initiative. The humans had saved the Yalan. Somehow, they had moved 12 billion people to safety before the Devourers arrived. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission," announced the communications officer. Her voice was shaking. "It is coming from a ship. The ship is moving very fast, almost as fast as light itself. They are asking us to follow specific coordinates." Rincor felt his scales ripple with fear. Nothing could travel that fast. The energy required would tear any ship apart. Who is sending the message? The signature says it is a human ship. The HSEV Pioneer. The crew looked at each other nervously. The humans were supposed to be gone. They had vanished from Earth 3 months ago. Now a human ship was here, traveling at impossible speeds, calmly inviting them somewhere. "Follow the coordinates," Rincor ordered. But stay alert. I do not know what is happening, but we need to find out. They traveled for 3 days. The journey took them away from all the known star systems. They were heading into a part of space that the galactic map showed as empty. Nothing was supposed to be out here. But when they arrived, Rincor realized the maps were wrong. The space in front of them was filled with ships. Thousands and thousands of ships. Each one was huge, as big as a small moon. They floated in perfect rows, organized and ready. The ships were strange looking. Their metal hulls were covered with symbols and equations that seemed to move and change. "Captain," Pelton said, his voice barely a whisper, "I am detecting massive energy signatures. These ships are not just transports. They are weapons, very powerful weapons." "We are being contacted again," said the communications officer. "They want to talk. Audio and visual. Put it on the main screen." The screen flickered and showed a human woman. She looked about 50 years old. Her hair was gray and her eyes were brown and very calm. She wore a simple black uniform with a small Earth symbol on it. "Captain Rincor," she said. Her translator worked perfectly. "I am Director Kate Morrison. Welcome to the Exodus Fleet. I am sorry for the secrecy, but we had important work to do in very little time." Rincor tried to speak calmly, but his voice shook a little. "Director Morrison, the Galactic Council is looking for your species. They think you abandoned Earth." Kate smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We did not abandon Earth, Captain. We moved our civilians to safety. All 17 billion humans are on these ships. And we also have the Yaloon, all 12 billion of them. Plus we saved the Hresh and 6 other species that your council was too slow to help." "How did you do this? Our best evacuation technology would take years to move so many people." "We stopped asking for permission and started building solutions," Kate replied. 3 years ago, we detected the Devourers starting to wake up. We saw the danger coming, so we began Project Exodus. While your council had meetings, we built ships. While you formed committees, we perfected our technology. While you wrote reports, we saved 33 billion lives. Pelton leaned close to Rincor and whispered urgently, "Captain, the sensors confirm it. These ships have incredible power. They are not just rescue vessels. They are built for war." Kate heard him somehow. Her expression became very serious. "Your officer is correct, Captain. These are not just evacuation ships. We built them for 2 purposes. First, to save innocent people. Second, to destroy the threat completely." Rincor could not believe what he was hearing. "You cannot be serious. The Devourers have existed for millions of years. They have eaten thousands of civilizations. Every empire that ever fought them lost. What makes you think humanity can win?" "Because we are not trying to negotiate with them or trap them," Kate said simply. "We are going to end them, completely, forever. And Captain, I am sending you back to the Council with a message. Tell them to evacuate all worlds in the Devourer's path. We will handle the rest. The Council will never agree to let one species fight the Devourers alone." Kate's smile became cold. "Captain, we are not asking for permission. The Exodus fleet moves in 48 hours. Your council can help evacuate people or they can just watch. But either way, humanity is going to war." The screen went dark. Rincor sat in his chair, staring at the impossible fleet in front of him. While he watched, more ships arrived. Each one carried people from worlds that the council did not even know were in danger yet. "Captain," Pelton said quietly. "What are they?" Rincor watched the human ships move through space with perfect coordination. Every movement had a purpose. Every action was precise. These were not the desperate actions of a species running away in fear. This was the careful preparation of warriors getting ready for battle. "They are what happens when you tell a species they cannot save everyone," Rincor said slowly. "They prove you wrong." He thought about the council meetings. All those hours of debate, all those committees and reports. Meanwhile, humanity had been working. They had been building. They had been saving people. "Sir, what do we do now?" asked the communications officer. "We go back to the council," Rincor said. "We tell them what we found, and we warn them that everything is about to change." As the infinite horizon turned to leave, Rincor took one last look at the Exodus fleet. Thousands of massive ships, each one carrying billions of refugees, each one equipped with weapons that should not exist, each one crewed by humans who had decided that waiting for permission was the same as accepting death. He thought about Commander Helen Brooks. She had warned the council this would happen. She had told them humans would not wait. Nobody had listened. Now it was too late to stop what was coming. The humans had vanished, but not into hiding. They had vanished into preparation, and in 48 hours they would vanish again into battle. Rincor just hoped the galaxy would survive whatever happened next. Because one thing was clear, humanity was done following rules. They were done asking permission. They were done being patient while people died. Humanity had become something else, something the galaxy had never seen before. And the Devourers were about to learn what that meant. 6 months after the Devourers fell, Earth's new ambassador stepped through the portal into the Galactic Council chamber. Her name was Lisa Grant. She was not a soldier or a scientist. Before the war, she had been a teacher in Nebraska. After the Exodus, she had volunteered to represent humanity. The council chamber looked different now. It had been redesigned to include a permanent seat for Earth. The chair had Earth's symbol on it and sat at the main table with the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Nobody had argued about giving humanity this honor. After what they had done, nobody would dare. Lisa sat down calmly and nodded to the other ambassadors. She did not carry weapons or threats. She did not remind anyone of humanity's terrible power. She only carried a datapad with ideas for working together, trade agreements, and cultural exchange programs. Council Prime Zarthok opened the meeting. Ambassador Grant, we welcome you to this council. We hope this begins a new era of cooperation between humanity and the galactic community. So do we, Lisa replied with a warm smile. My government asked me to present several proposals today. First, we would like to create a joint medical research program to help heal people affected by the war, both the victims of the Devourers and our own personnel who are still recovering. The ambassadors looked at each other in surprise. This was not what they expected. No demands for territory, no requirements for tribute or payment, just an offer to help heal. Second, Lisa continued, we propose a unified early warning system. The Devourers are gone, but the galaxy is huge. If another threat appears, we should face it together, with time to prepare and evacuate if needed. Ambassador Velthar leaned forward. Ambassador Grant, may I speak honestly? Of course. Your species saved us when we failed to save ourselves. You used weapons that broke reality itself. Then you destroyed those weapons instead of keeping them for power. Now you come here offering cooperation instead of demanding to be in charge. We do not understand why. Lisa smiled gently. What is there to understand? We did what was necessary to save lives. Now we do what is necessary to build peace. Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be part of it. But you could rule it, Ambassador Quinn insisted. Your technology, your capabilities. You could make demands and we would have no choice but to agree. We could, Lisa agreed. But that would make us no better than the Devourers. They consumed civilizations for their own purposes. We will not do the same, even if our methods would be gentler. She stood up, looking around at all the different species in the chamber. My people have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. We have seen what that power costs. 362 scientists who may never wake up, an admiral who sees equations in his sleep, thousands of soldiers who carry invisible scars. That is the price of the weapons we built. We paid that price because we had to, Lisa continued, because the alternative was watching innocent people die. But now the emergency is over. Now we have a choice about what kind of people we want to be, and we choose cooperation over control. We choose healing over power. We choose peace. The silence in the chamber was complete. Finally, Zarthok spoke. Then we accept your proposals, Ambassador Grant. All of them. And we offer our own proposal in return. He activated a holographic display showing plans for a massive space station, the Accord Station, a joint project built by all our civilizations together, a place for research, trade, diplomacy, and defense. We ask that humanity help design the defense systems using normal technology only. No theorem devices. Lisa studied the plans carefully. This is very ambitious. It would take many years to complete. Exactly, Zarthok said. We are proposing a future where we build together, not just react to threats. A future where no species has to sacrifice their sanity to save everyone else. Will humanity join us in this? Lisa thought about all the people back on Earth, the recovering soldiers, the dreaming scientists, the children who had been evacuated and brought home safely. She thought about Commander Helen Brooks, now retired, teaching those children history and making sure they understood both the necessity and the cost of what had been done. Yes, Lisa said finally, Humanity will join you. But with one condition. The council became tense. Here was the demand they had been waiting for. The condition is this, Lisa said. We build the station together, but we also build memorials. For every species the Devourers consumed, for every civilization that fell before we could save them, and for the 362 humans who sacrificed their minds so that others could live. We remember the cost. All of us, always. Zarthok relaxed. Agreed, we will remember. We will teach our children about the night humanity vanished into darkness to save us all. We will make sure they understand the price of doing nothing and the honor of sacrifice. Around the table, ambassadors from many species agreed. The Yalan representative spoke first. My people have already begun teaching our children. They call it the night the stars went dark. They learn about the humans who became monsters to save them, then became teachers and friends when the danger passed. Ambassador Velthar added, the Kryn have created music to honor the scientists who gave their dreams to save ours. We play it at every major gathering. One by one, the species shared how they were remembering, how they were teaching their children not to fear humanity, but to understand them, to value the sacrifice and respect the choice to destroy the weapons afterward. Lisa felt tears in her eyes and blinked them away. Thank you, all of you. This is what Director Morrison hoped for. Not fear, not worship, just understanding. How is Director Morrison? Asked Zarthok gently. She is well. She retired from military service. Now she runs a program to help veterans return to normal life. She says she spent enough time preparing for war. Now she wants to help people prepare for peace. And Admiral Preston? Lisa's smile became sad. He is learning to live with the equations he cannot stop seeing. It is hard, but he is getting better. He says that knowing we use the weapons to save lives, not take them, helps him find peace with what he has become. She pulled out a letter. He asked me to read something to the council if you will allow it. Please, Zarthok said. Lisa read the letter slowly. To the species of the Galactic Council. I am Admiral Kyle Preston. I led the fleet that ended the Devourers. I see equations every moment now. I see the mathematics of reality itself, and I cannot unsee it. This is my burden. But I want you to know I would do it again. Not because I enjoyed becoming this. Not because I wanted power. But because I remember the Yalan children we evacuated. I remember the Hresh elders we saved. I remember the 33 billion people who are alive because we were willing to break ourselves to save them. If you take one thing from humanity's actions, let it be this. Civilization is not about being strong or smart or advanced. Civilization is about being willing to sacrifice for strangers. It is about choosing to save others even when it costs you everything. That is what makes us civilized. Not our weapons, but our willingness to suffer so others do not have to. I will carry my equations until I die. My scientists will dream forever. Our soldiers will bear scars that never heal. But we are at peace with this because you are alive. And that makes every equation, every sleepless night, every moment of confusion worth it. Build your future together. Make sure we never have to become monsters again. That is the only memorial we need. Lisa folded the letter as she finished reading. Around the council chamber, every being present was emotional. Some had tears. Some showed grief in their own ways. All of them understood now. Then let us begin, said Council Prime Zarthok. Let us build the Accord Station. Let us create the future humanity fought for, and let us never forget the price they paid to give us this chance. The session ended with everyone agreeing to every proposal. As Lisa left the chamber, she stopped at a window and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were still helping evacuate people from damaged worlds. Somewhere, Kate Morrison was helping veterans heal. Somewhere, Admiral Preston was seeing equations he would never stop calculating. And somewhere, in a medical facility on Earth, 362 scientists still dreamed of mathematics that broke reality. Their sacrifice made it possible for everyone else to dream of simpler, peaceful things. Lisa touched the window gently. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for your terrible gift. We will make sure it was not wasted. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The price of doing nothing was too high, and the debt they owed to humanity could never be fully repaid. It could only be honored through the civilization they would build together. The Council's warning had come too late. Humanity had vanished into darkness to save everyone, but they had come back, changed and scarred, but still human in the ways that mattered most, and the galaxy would never forget what that meant. The Galactic Council met again in emergency session. The big chamber was packed with representatives from every species that had survived. Floating screens showed human ships moving through space, carefully bringing refugees back to their home worlds. Everyone should have been celebrating, but the room felt tense and afraid. "They broke the laws of physics," said Ambassador Quinn. Her crystal body flickered with distress. "They created weapons that unmake reality itself. Do you understand what this means?" Council Prime Zarthok stayed quiet. He was watching screens that showed human ships gently lowering Yalan people back to their planet. The humans were being so careful. They protected the refugees from radiation. They adjusted gravity fields so no one got hurt. They even fixed damaged buildings before they left. "It means we are alive," said Captain Rincor quietly. He had been invited to speak to the council about what he had seen. "It means 33 billion people are alive because one species refused to wait for our permission." "But at what cost?" Ambassador Quinn demanded. "They have technology that makes them like gods. They showed they can erase anything from existence. What happens when they decide to use these weapons on us?" The chamber doors opened without permission. Commander Helen Brooks walked in. Her footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. She had not come to a council meeting in months, not since they had dismissed her warnings about the Devourers. Now she walked right to the center of the chamber. "You want to know the cost?" she asked quietly. "I will tell you the cost." She turned on her own holographic display. It showed Earth, but not the cities or the beautiful landscapes. It showed a facility built deep inside a mountain in Colorado. "This is Research Station Prime," Helen said. "This is where we created the theorem devices, where we learned to break physics, where we learned to unmake reality, where we became the monsters we needed to be." The hologram zoomed closer. It showed rows of hospital beds. On each bed was a human, lying very still. Machines were attached to their heads, monitoring their brain activity. "These are our scientists," Helen continued. Her voice cracked with emotion. "The men and women who designed the weapons that saved you. Every equation they wrote came at a price. Their minds." The council watched in horror as medical displays showed brain patterns that did not look human anymore. The scientists' consciousness had been changed, transformed by the knowledge they had gained. "They knew this would happen," Helen said. "They knew that to understand mathematics that denied reality, they would have to give up their own grip on reality. They did it anyway. 362 of humanity's greatest minds. Now they are trapped in comas. Their dreams are filled with equations that should not exist." "Why are you telling us this?" asked Zarthok softly. "Because you need to understand what we gave up to save you," Helen replied. "You need to know that we did not become gods. We became martyrs. Every captain who commanded those ships, every crew member, every person who used a theorem device is now psychologically damaged. You cannot use weapons that break reality without breaking something inside yourself." She brought up another image. This one showed Admiral Kyle Preston in a medical room. The hero who had led the fleet against the Devourers sat in a white room, staring at walls. The walls were covered in equations he had written himself. Equations he could not stop seeing even when he closed his eyes. "The Admiral sees mathematics constantly," Helen said. "Every moment of every day. He sees the physics of everything around him. He cannot turn it off. None of them can. We saved the galaxy, but we lost part of our humanity doing it." Ambassador Velthar spoke for the first time. "What do you want from us, Commander?" Helen turned to face the full council. Her eyes were hard but also sad. "I want you to remember, when you write your history books, when you tell your children about the night the Devourers fell, remember it was not magic. It was sacrifice. Humans who gave up their sanity, their peace, their understanding of reality to use weapons that should never have been built. And I want you to remember why we built them," she continued. "We warned you the Devourers were coming. We begged you to evacuate planets. We offered to share our research and technology. And you debated. You formed committees. You told us to be patient while worlds burned." "Commander Brooks," Zarthok began, but Helen interrupted him. "No, you need to hear this. We did not build these weapons because we wanted power. We built them because you gave us no choice. Because waiting for your permission meant watching billions die. Because sometimes the price of civilization is having people willing to become monsters to protect it. The chamber became completely silent. On the screens, human ships continued their work, gently returning refugees to their homes, helping rebuild what was lost, acting with kindness and care despite the terrible weapons they carried. The theorem devices are being destroyed, Helen said finally. Director Kate Morrison has ordered every single one dismantled. The research is being locked away. We will not keep weapons that break reality because we know what they cost. But we needed you to see them first. We needed you to understand. Understand what? Asked Quinn. Helen's expression softened a little. That we are not your enemies. That we did not save you to conquer you. We saved you because it was right, even knowing the price. Now we are going home to Earth. We will try to help our people heal from what they became to save you. She turned to leave, then stopped. Director Morrison wanted me to give you a message, she said. The Council's warning came too late. Humanity had vanished, not into cowardice, but into the darkness necessary to save everyone else. We are back now, but we will never be the same. Neither will you. Remember that. Helen Brooks walked out of the council chamber. Behind her, representatives from 12 species sat in stunned silence. Finally, Council Prime Zarthok spoke. She is right. We must remember. Remember what? Asked Ambassador Quinn. That humanity saved us? That they sacrificed for us? Or that they now know how to make weapons that unmake reality? All of it, Zarthok said quietly. We remember their sacrifice and their restraint. And we make sure we never again force anyone to become monsters because we were too slow to act. On the screens, the last human ship left the Yalan homeworld. Its impossible engines carried it home to Earth. Inside that ship, refugees from many different species watched through windows as their saviors departed. They were beginning to understand the true cost of their rescue. On Earth, in medical facilities, 362 scientists dreamed equations that broke reality. Admiral Preston stared at walls covered in mathematics he could never unsee. Director Kate Morrison visited her crew members, all of them carrying scars that would never fully heal. And Commander Helen Brooks stood on Earth's surface, looking up at stars that would never look the same to her again. She wondered if salvation was supposed to feel this heavy. She wondered if saving the galaxy was worth losing the people who had done the saving. But she knew the answer. It had to be worth it. Because if it was not, then the sacrifice meant nothing. And the 362 scientists dreaming in their comas deserved better than that. They deserved to be remembered not as victims, but as heroes who had given everything so that others could live, even if that everything included their very minds.